Bonjour, on vous accueille aujourd'hui dans le cadre de la sortie du film Aswang. Le film Aswang qui est réalisé par notre invité d'aujourd'hui, Alyx Arumpac, présenté sur le site du cinéma public du 1er au 15 avril. Le film a gagné le Grand Prix de la compétition internationale au RIDM à la dernière édition en 2020. Donc, c'est un réel honneur de présenter le film sur notre plateforme. Pour vous introduire brièvement le film, donc Aswang est un documentaire bouleversant sur les impacts et dessous de la politique anti-drogue du gouvernement philippin. La réalisatrice, Alyx Arumpac, aborde le sujet avec une grande poésie et une façon d'affronter la réalité de face. Aswang est un documentaire plus qu'essentiel pour les victimes d'un régime corrompu et autoritaire. Donc, j'aimerais remercier notre collaborateur sans qui cette diffusion n'aurait pas pu être possible, donc le Fil Development Council of the Philippines. Je vais maintenant passer à l'anglais. Donc, I would like to thank our collaborator, without whom this would not have been possible, the Film Development Council of the Philippines. So, hello, Alyx.
Morning. Hello.
Hello, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me here.
Thank you so much for being here with us. There's something special I wanted to start because the subject of your film is very difficult, very touching. I wanted first to ask you about the title. I know it's something that has a lot of meaning, and especially in the Philippine mythology. So I was curious to learn more about this.
Yes. Well, something I never really tell people is that my background, like since I was young, it was always literature. I studied literature and I'm actually a writer. And so this was always how my mind worked. And so the first time I saw the images of, the war against drugs, these very violent images, this metaphor came to mind. The aswang is this monster that we have in the Philippines. It's folklore, basically. And every child about this. Everyone is born and raised, fearing the aswang. And so at the time, I was doing research about it, but mostly, how it's used for war, psychological warfare in the past in the Philippines. And so I thought, this was fear mongering, leaving these bodies behind. And this was how it came about. But I have to say that while making the film, I wasn't really sure if this was going to last, to come at the very end. But it was a guiding principle while making it.
And when did you decide to choose this title? Was it from the beginning or?
Yeah,
okay.
It was from day one. I was writing a pitch for for a film forum, and then this was the first thing that I wrote, and I knew that it might not be the title at the very end, and I was actually challenged several times. If it doesn't have a formal manifestation in the film, then it shouldn't be your title. But I was lucky to have collaborators who also believed in this idea. Using this metaphor and this idea of just spreading fear and controlling people's minds that way. So yeah.
And you say you're a writer. This is very interesting. I didn't know. And are you still? I imagine you are still practicing writing. And how did being a writer influence your way maybe of shooting or even editing the film?
Mm-hmm. It was very interesting because I realized this was probably the skill that helped me most with making the film. I'm not a fantastic cinematographer, I'm not a fantastic editor, but people, I could get collaborators to do that with me, and I did. But to write the film, to be able to piece things together and find meaning and find meaning in each scenes, that really helped. And actually, we wrote a script. I wrote some sort of a script when I had all the material, most of the material, and then I could really pinpoint how to piece the film together. And that also helped my editors as well, because there was so much material. Yeah.
And how was the final result, the feature film, close to your script version?
Very, very close.
Okay.
Yeah, almost to the, yeah, very close. And the thing is, we edited it in 3 countries or 4 countries. So I went to different countries. I worked with 2 editors. And it was nice that I wrote this because they had an idea and they had an expectation. If it was not in the cut, my editor would ask, yes, but you wrote in your it's called a film treatment, that there is this scene. And then I remembered, yes, this exists, so we all sort of were in the same page, because of the text. Actually, that really helped.
Okay. And you said like it was when you wrote about the film and you developed this idea prior to the shoot. When approximately did you decide to do this film about this government drug policy and its negative impact? Is it a subject that is close to you from long, something that you felt an urge to address because of maybe political circumstances, or I was wondering.
So my background is actually, my work was, I was a television producer for Current Affairs. So I was very used to filming in the streets, working with journalists, basically working with the ordinary Filipino as well. And when the killing started, because when President Duterte was voted, immediately that very day, the killing started. And then in the next few weeks, all these photographs started coming out. And it was just very blatant. It was very hard for me to look away. So it was never a question of, should I make the film or not? It was just a question of, how should I start? How should I approach it? But I knew that I had to do something about it. And I knew that making a film, a cinema, was my best tool to react to this.
The idea maybe that cinema would reach out to more people, a film would travel and maybe have an impact abroad that could maybe change things also inside?
At the very beginning, I didn't think about it that way. It was just, it was a very simple goal that I have the time, I have a camera, and I want to do it, so I go. And then the thing is, I spent so much time, so much nights and days filming. I saw so many families being torn apart by this. And every time I was in a crime scene or a wake, and then I hear someone crying or talking, telling their stories, I always thought that if people saw or heard exactly what I was seeing right now or hearing right now, then maybe somehow we would, somehow open hearts or minds here. Because the problem is President Duterte is very popular, even until now, particularly to overseas Filipinos. So this was something I had in mind. I thought that if I could transport that feeling or, transmit it into a film, then maybe we could have a chance somehow.
And did you feel free to do this documentary while shooting in the street? Did you feel at the same time free and safe while addressing something so difficult? And
at the time, yes, because it was just starting. And at the time, their targets were really just these people, these people, mostly urban poor communities. And I know this was a position of privilege to be able to go in at night, with a camera and then go back to my bed. At the time, I felt safe, also because I worked with a group of other journalists. I wouldn't say that now. And I'm not so sure if I could do the same film now because, our democratic space is just very much smaller right now. Which is why I'm very glad that I did it back then, actually. But yeah, back then it was still okay.
And you say so now it's the democratic space is
Yeah,
shrinking.
yeah, I think in many countries, the pandemic was really used to do this. Right now, they're really targeting say activists, sometimes journalists. So you don't really know. You don't really know where being outspoken could lead to. So yes, I would definitely say things are a bit more tricky right now.
And how was the reaction of the Philippine population to your film? Were you able to show your film? Was it more in activist group? Was your film able to? Were you able to show this film to a larger community?
Yes, we were supposed to have a Philippine premiere in March, 1 year ago. Yes, to the day, I think.
Oh my God!
And then but it was in a theater. But then it got canceled. We waited a few months, and then sometime in July 2020, it started feeling very the government closed down a TV station, and then they passed this anti-terror law, which was very shady. And then we decided to release it for free for a short period of time in the Philippines online. So we released it on a Friday. We said it would be available for the weekend. And yeah, it had like almost 500,000 views. Everyone was talking about it. It was really overwhelming. I did not expect this reaction. Also, because I thought that, most of the things that were in the film, they were on the news already. But then this is what I realized, that there is this space that the news doesn't cover, that films or a documentary or cinema can really explore. And I proved that when I observed the reactions of people with the film. It was very I think a lot of people were saying it was very raw. For me as a filmmaker, the reaction was very fulfilling. Then I realized I was right all along to really have the Filipino people in mind as the audience while making this film.
So did you feel you were in a way not alone and supported also by medias that were relaying the information and talking about your film, or it was more the public with the quantity of people that watched the film and reacted to it?
And I would have to say that I think the Filipino film community really worked with us. They spread the word. The media also picked it up eventually, but it was because of the feedback, of all the people that watched. But yeah, we were surprised with that reaction.
And to talk more about the film itself and the editing, one thing I found beautiful about your film is first, like you confront the reality. You're just in front of this raw reality that is really difficult to look at, but that we need to look at it to talk about it, and I think in a way find a solution. And at the same time, you are also using a very poetic and reflective parentheses in your film. I was wondering, what was this use of those beautiful moments where we're kind of just in the city, just having this time to reflect on what we just saw, for example. And
yeah, I like that you use the word parenthesis, because I always thought about Jonas Megas' parenthesis, and this was actually that's exactly the idea that we had, because the film, there were so many difficult moments, and I felt that this was why we filmed a lot of the city, just the city being the city, because we felt that there needed to be space for breathing, for reflection. because I don't think people would be able to last through a film with just, you know, these difficult images. And yeah, mostly of reflection, I would say. This was precisely the purpose of these scenes.
And what are you doing right now? What are your next, do you have, I imagine you have like present or next project coming up?
Yeah,
or
there is
films
one.
or writing?
I work for TV here, still for our local TV network, but I'm also, it's the same, like I said earlier, it's, you know that you have to do something. It's just a matter of starting and approaching it. So yeah, I'm just there right now, but not much. I think it's a time for rest still.
Good. Thank you very much, Alyx, for being here with us.
Thank you so much for having me and for having our film.